The Mitchells vs. the Machines is full of nonsense. Before you get mad, hear me out. The film being nonsensical in some areas is exactly the thing I want to praise it for, actually. The movie's good, so I don't want anyone getting the wrong idea. The film also actually makes a lot of sense, which I know is kind of contradictory of the title, but the narrative flows well, character dynamics are strong and believable, and the script is executed gracefully. The nonsense comes in the form of scenes like this, and, well, this. People have talked about this movie many times since its release, but to shake things up in this corner of Mitchells vs. the Machines reviews, I want to talk solely on this aspect of the film and why I think it's important to highlight. Also, I'm hoping we'll see this carry on in future animated projects from Sony Pictures and its competitors. The Mitchells vs. the Machines embraces the medium of animation. It never loses its identity when trying to be taken seriously. I think leaning so heavily into this philosophy is what made Sony Pictures Animation grow, in my opinion, to one of the most exhilarating and unpredictable animation studios for me in recent years. Wow, all that from the folks who brought us to this.
You're so soft, Poop.
Not too soft, I hope.
In a movie with a plotline about being wrapped up in technology, a family road trip at the center, as well as a main protagonist heavily tied to YouTube and meme culture, it's a wonder how this film didn't instantly become a product and new member of the Cringe Fest content club. But somehow, this crazy cast and crew pulled it off. I mean, this should not have worked. How do you have a movie that pulls something like this and still manage to make me care about these people when this happens? It's just, wow. With all of this at play, it's hard for me to deny that we may be living in a time where the underdog is rising from the ashes. We may very well be witnessing this movie, right here. No, I wasn't checking for this thing, at all. Yet, here I am now, gushing all over it every time I watch it. Granted, it's not a Sony film, but relevant to the point I'm trying to get at. Oh, and this? What, an animated film based on my favorite fictional character of all time from the company responsible for this? Yeah, I don't think so. Yet, I sat my butt in that theater and walked out having the Incredibles title snatched away by this as my favorite animated film ever. Yeah, I think it's safe to say Phil Lord and Chris Miller won me over. And look, I'm fully aware the credit doesn't solely land on them, but I think it's kind of funny there's this pattern I've had with every animated film up to this point that I slept on just happened to have their name attached to it in some form or fashion. Aside from that, if Spider-Verse was any indication of the direction Sony hopes to lean into in terms of breaking the mold of what we've come to expect with CG animated features, sign me up. That's why I look to Mitchells vs. Machines with such joy and excitement. To see if they would stick the landing and continue the awesome trajectory Sony placed itself in. And yeah, it did. Sony doesn't seem to care how wacky the film gets. It allows the creators to get wild with it, to get loony, to get nonsensical. Animation, it has no rules. I mean, making animation has rules, 12 principles of animation and all that jazz, but in terms of creative freedom, no. This is the medium where there are absolutely no limits. Disney thrives in the area of making beautiful animated features with heart and characters, all that feel-good stuff. They lean into that story. Yet Sony leans into more of the gift that animation can bring. It shows off animation. It explains how cool it is for those who take it for granted. Spider-Verse experimented with frame rates and utilized its tools to make a comic book come to life. Like this film, it has a character with a passion that bleeds from the script onto the screen to ooze all this beautiful blend of CG and 2D for no reason other than it's cool. This is cool. Animation is cool. And Sony gets that. I think that's what I'm getting at. It's not just the story. The story isn't the central focus. It's a big part of it. But part of the story is the animation. At least that's what I took away from it. I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. I don't see a lot of animated features that have animation be a central focus. Does that make sense? No, probably not. How do I explain that? Here's an example. Video games. Marvel's Spider-Man. What was the one meme that everyone said when Marvel's Spider-Man comes out? It makes you feel like Spider-Man. Did the game have a story? Yeah, that was a central part of the game. So was the gameplay, but everyone kept talking about how the game made you feel like Spider-Man. Let's apply that to the Mitchells vs. the Machines. Watching this film presents, oh yeah, animation is cool. They didn't have to do these little things, these cool little knickknacks just for our eyes to enjoy. They're just showing off and I love it. Does it make sense? No. You know what that equals? Nonsense. Is that a bad thing? No. This film is nonsense done right. I can't tell you how many times I've ran into people that tell me, oh, cartoons are just for kids, or if I offer them to watch a movie with me, and as soon as I put it on and they see it's a cartoon, they frown. I never really understood why. Maybe in their eyes, just because they don't look like us, there's a disconnect. They can't really get invested in the story because all they see is fakeness. And while it's not my place to present examples of what might fit into this mold, but there are some instances of animated properties out there that, yeah, present themselves as nonsensical without heart or reason. In turn, having people look to that and go, yeah, this is stupid, or I can't relate to this. And yes, there are pieces of media out there that kind of garnered this reaction for a reason. But it's a little disheartening to see that these properties dictate these people's mindsets of every animated thing ever, when we have gems like The Mitchells vs. the Machines explaining why the medium of animation is a form of storytelling that can't be touched by anything else. We've seen efforts of animated films trying to reel in people that go, wow, that was a good movie. There are films that take themselves seriously or approach it like any other movie that you would watch, but oh yeah, it just happens to be animated. But The Mitchells vs. the Machines does the opposite. Literally, from the opening logos, it opens its arm and says, yeah, we're animated, unashamed, accept it, and let's move on. It's kind of out to express its wackiness and zaniness before you even get a chance to say anything about it. Again, we saw the same tactic used with Spider-Verse. Really, I could be unaware of so many other properties that do the same thing. If there are some, please comment them down below. What are some of your favorite animated properties that approach it in this way? Because I would love to see more of this and support it. Is this a perfect film? No, nothing is. Yeah, sure, the pacing could be off at times, not all the jokes land. You can talk about how it leans into some tropes you may be tired of here and there, but one thing you can't deny is that the film is helping to innovate what we can do with 3D animated pictures, and that is a-okay in my book. You could ask anyone. I've been asking for more 2D animated features for the longest time. We haven't really seen that many on the big screen, unless it's an anime or anything of that nature. But majority of the time, if we get an animated feature in theaters, you can bet it's going to be CG. And if that's going to be the case, I would much rather get more variations in styles that Sony has been doing for the past few years and getting the same look that everyone's trying to emulate from over at Pixar. And no, that's not a shot at Pixar, that's fine, but the more we start pushing the stylization in these films, the better. The Mitchells vs. the Machines is a great time. I'm sure everyone's going to find something that they can really dig in the movie and latch onto. For me, it just happened to be the animation mostly. This movie is unapologetically wacky, very loud, very colorful, funny, heartfelt, and unapologetically nonsensical. And that's okay. That was really passionate, wasn't it? Sorry, I just get in my feelings when I start talking about animation and all that good stuff. You made it to the end of this video, pat yourself on the back. I thought I was going to be a lot more rambunctious in this review like I was back in the Invincible video, but man, this movie really hit me hard. I guess that's what happens when you get a really inspiring film like this. Can you guys do me a favor and leave a comment down below? I want you to comment your favorite animated film of all time, and you, yes you, can be lucky enough to get a shout out in the next video. You don't want to miss it. Also, you might want to hit the subscribe button because we're going to be talking about stuff like The Bad Batch and Loki, and if you're not in on that hype train, you're missing out, dude. So hit subscribe so we can have a party and talk about it every week, man. I don't want to be out of the loop. Come on, do it. Just do it for me. Also, leave a like. That would be cool too. And if you want, share this video around with your friends so we can have a nice passionate talk about animation and just all things geeky and good. So with that being said, let me hop down in this comment section below with you guys and we'll have a nice little party. I'll catch you guys in the next upload.